I'm back. This is Chandler for Melder Production, and today what I want to do is show you a way to use MXXX to create an effects sequencer. In this case, I'm going to call it a glitch sequencer, but of course you can use it for more things than that. And basically what this will allow you to do is it'll allow you to change effects and turn them on and off using something that looks similar to a step sequencer. So let's get started. So if I open up MXXX here, I'll just go to what I made before, glitch sequencer. Let me collapse this, so you can see this, and expand it. So this is what I have. So this top row here, this is using MXXX. This row is a filter, and this bottom row is a panner. So let me just bypass this for a second. Here's just an arpeggio. So, fairly boring synth arpeggio, but what I can do is I can add things here to make it a little bit more interesting. So, let's just start from the bottom here and move some of these up and down with the panning. Let's hear how this sounds. So that's slightly interesting, and with the panning depth, we can control it from really wide to, fairly narrow. So I'll move this down and up so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, let me set these back to normal. Now, I'll do the same thing with this. And this is just a low pass filter. It's fairly easy. The minimum frequency is 20 hertz. The maximum is 20,000 hertz. Let me just set this a little bit higher so it'll be easier to hear it. Let's try here, here. I'm just setting these randomly, but of course, when you do this, you should probably think about what you're doing. And let's play it. So of course you can have fun with that and play around with that. And the last one I have up here is the repeats. So you see here, now they all say off. It may be a little bit hard to see there. I'll try to zoom in. But if I move this up, you see it says 8th notes, 8th note triplet, 16th notes, 16th note triplet, and 32nd notes. So let's move that here, like this. I'm just kind of moving these randomly. Now let's listen to what this sounds like. Okay, so now once you play with all of these, you can get some really interesting effects. So let's try setting it perhaps like this. Move these around somewhat randomly. Now let's hear this. So you can get some really interesting rhythmic effects. It goes from something boring like this to something like this. And of course, you can even use it on something like this. So here I just have like some basic percussion sound. I actually made this with a synth. But you could also use this on like hi-hats, for example. Someplace I might use this would be on like maybe the hip-hop, like trap hi-hats. So let's say you have something like this where it's just a basic 16th note pattern that repeats over and over again, like this. Fairly boring. I put this on. And it's much more interesting. So I'll let you see what I did and how I made this. So if you go into here, you can see this. I have auto pan, a filter, and I have MXXX. So that's basically what it is. One thing I noticed when I was playing that, there's a little bit of like popping going on in there. And so I think this click protection is part of that. So if I have it on, you hear a little bit of popping, kind of low end popping. I found with this, if I move it down here, it gets rid of it. So mess around with that. Usually you think, oh, click protection will stop that, but in some cases it's good to actually reduce it. So play around with that if you're noticing those types of like low end popping sounds. And so you're probably saying like, okay, I see this and this might be useful, but if I want to make this myself, how do I do it? So if you're not really interested in that, what I'll do is I'll just take this and I'm going to put this online. So I'll put it on the online exchange. So if you want this and you think, oh, okay, this is all I want, you can just find it there and use it yourself. But if you want to find out how to make this yourself or expand this because you might think, I don't want panning, I'd rather use a delay. So maybe if I move it up like this, it would have a eighth note delay. And if I move it all the way up, it will be a, like a dotted eighth or dotted quarter note delay with a long repeat. You can do all those types of things. So I'm going to show you how I did this. So let's start with B here. So this is just blank, and I'll show you how I did the rhythmic one, because the rhythmic one is actually the most difficult. So I'll go in here, right click here, go to rhythmicizer, turn it on, and just so I can see this better, I'm going to right click here, pop it out, so it's easy to see. Normally I would go into here and choose general, so it fills out all of these, but actually I don't need to do that. It's better if I don't. So I'm going to use my own, maybe, I guess, presets here. I'm going to right click here where it says presets, open this. On the one before I used eighth notes, but since it's sequenced in eighth notes, I actually found that isn't that effective. So I'm going to use the slowest value as a 16th note. That's not a 16th note. That's an eighth note. Here. This is a 16th note. So if you look here, you see this is one beat, so it's 4 in one beat, so that's a 16th note. Next one, I'll do this. This should be 16th note triplets. Next one should be 32nd notes, and the next one should be 32nd note triplets. Now you can go higher than this and faster than this if you want to, but for this demonstration, I'm going to leave it at 4 just because I don't want to spend forever doing this. But feel free to go as high as you want. You can make it go as fast or as slow as you want. And if you don't want that, you can actually use other things like slow down. So if you want like a tape stop effect, you can do that too. But let's move on. So now that I have that set up, I need to hook that up to one of these mods. So we're going to hook it up to MPs later, but let's hook it up to this mod first. So I'm just going to click here, clear and learn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what we inputted before. I'll just turn it on here. And it's already on step sequencer, which is what we want. We want to make sure the length is 1, so that means it's 1 bar long. Make sure it's in sync also. Type straight. I don't want triplets or anything like that. Straight's good. And phase at 0. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. Now, it's going from 0 to 4. And if we adjust the step sequencer like this, you'll see that at the beginning of the bar, it will skip up to there, E1. But we want to control each of these so we can adjust this on the fly from the easy screen. So to do that, what we're going to have to do is go into MPs here. In the first MP, I'm just going to hit clear and learn, go into the step sequencer, and move this up and down. Okay? And I can go out of here now. And everything's set up. But as you see here, this isn't so good. What I want to do is change this to banks like this. And actually, let me name this. I'm just going to name this repeats. And now from here, I'll use bank's name. Move this all the way down. Let's name these. I'll change this first one all the way down. This will be off. This will be, I think we did 16th notes. Actually, it should be 5 banks. Here we go. Next one should be 16th note triplets. Next one should be 32nd notes. And the next should be 32nd note triplets. Okay, now we just need to adjust the percentages. So I'm going to try 100, 50, 0. Let's try around like 50, and then 100%. And I don't want to interpolate the values. Okay, so turn those off. And now when I do this, this should move up and down. And another thing I want to make sure of, I want to make sure it works correctly here. So when I have it off, this isn't moving. If I turn it to 16th notes, it should move there. Good. If I move it to 16th note triplets, it should move to D1. Good. Now if I move it up to 32nd notes, move up to D sharp 1, and then last, it should go to E1. So everything is perfect. This is great. This is exactly what I want. One thing I do want to change here is now it's on normal, and if I go to the edit screen, it's just a knob. I don't want that. That's no good. So what I want to do is change this to bar start. And that's going to change it to bars, but if you look at it now, oh, it's only one bar. That's not good. So what I want to do is go here, copy this, move this here, paste. Easy. Now I'm going to go in here, and it's set on value 1. I want to change it to value 2. Same thing for 3. Change this to value 3. Next one to value 4. And I'm going to do it the same way for all of these. Because I have 8 values, I need to do this for all 8 of them. Just so I have 8 things in my step sequencer. 7. Because they have these numbered, for these first few, it's actually easy. And this last one I need to take a little bit more care. Value 8. And now, instead of bars start, I'll click bars end. Okay? And I go into here. I have my bars. Everything should be working somewhat well. So let's try it and see if it actually works. Let's try this 32nd notes. 32nd note triplet here. Let's see what it sounds like. It's working well, except for the thing with the clicks. So turn click protection down. And I did a similar thing with the filter here. I'll let you just see what I did as far as that goes. So that one I have on mod 2. And you see the minimum frequency here is just controlling the minimum value here. And all these bars are controlling the same thing. So it's the exact same thing. It's just I have it hooked up to this filter. So you can do it the exact same way. It's fairly simple. I know this seems like, it's taking a long time to do. And the first time, it might take, a good, 10 minutes or so to get this set up. But once you do it, you can save it and, save it forever and use it for other things. And it's really convenient, especially because sometimes I think, I like this with the auto pan, but maybe I want to do the same thing. I just want delay instead of panning. Or if I want flanger or distortion, I can do it with any effect to get this kind of sequencing effect. And I can choose whichever effects I want to, and I can just save it. And I can use this as kind of a template to go off and change however I like. And you can make yours prettier than mine. I made mine somewhat quickly, so you might want to put more labels on there. Or you could use tabs if you don't like these all in a row here. Although you can make these bigger or smaller if you can or can't read them. So it's your choice. But I think this is a really good thing, especially when you want to add some extra rhythm and movement to some repeated pattern. That's it for today. Before, someone requested a tutorial about MXXX, so I thought I would show you this. This is a fairly simple example, although I think not everyone realizes you can do this thing with the bars. But in the future, I'll show you some things that are almost impossible to do without MXXX. MXXX, I should say, if you're interested. Some of the level crossover things can be really interesting and you can come up with some new sounds. But if you like this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done that, and until next time, see you.